The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 10th day of October 2023. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase by using promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today. And there it is. Thank you very much to SeatGeek for being a longtime sponsor of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great sports articles from across from around the world of sports and great podcasts such as the Crap Brewed Sports podcast. Tonight, Mike and the guys get back after. It's always a good time listening to those guys. And Rise to the Occasion and the Corner Booth podcast. Hope to get those guys on our show someday soon as well. Have BS about God knows what and have a good time doing it. Anyways, thank you for making this part of your day each and every day here from 1420 World Headquarters. The NHL season gets going tonight. Connor Bedard, the Connor Bedard era gets going as the Chicago Blackhawks travel to Pittsburgh to take on the newly revamped Pittsburgh Penguins. They got Erik Karlsson this year to see if they could revamp their not make the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. Starting tonight, Connor Bedard era. It's hot and heavy across the sports world. Speculation's high. Who knows what it's going to end up being? If it's going to be a great one or a bust or a Alexander Daig or a Sidney Crosby. It's crazy. I did wrote an article yesterday for the newly revamped the 1420 Sports Bar.com. We got that all straightened out, so make sure you guys go and check that out as well. But I wrote an article yesterday. The comparisons to between Sidney Crosby and Connor Bedard are kind of it's kind of uncanny, the whole thing, the way it's all turned out. And I was just sitting downstairs last night, or yesterday, doing just thinking about things I could put on the website and things to improve things, not everything else going, and try to get that moving forward. We kind of forgot about it for a while. That's not unimportant. But the comparisons between Crosby and Bedard are quite astonishing, really, when you think about it. The Crosby's on the back nine of his career. There's no getting around that. Maybe 2-3 years left. I think he has 2 years left on his contract. It's a team-friendly deal at $8.7 million. It's crazy to think that one of the greatest ever in the game, but he did it to win championships and the whole bit. So you understand it. But he's on the back nine of his career, and things are kind of folding down. The way the NHL has this this matchup going tonight, it's a very smart thing to do. Getting these two guys who are on different ends of the spectrum, on different starts of their career. Obviously, Bedard's just starting his. Crosby's coming to the end of his, and he had such a great junior career, and he was touted to come out of Rimouski and be the guy he's turned out to be. He had over 200 and some points in his two years there. It was crazy. His first year in Pittsburgh was on a bad hockey team that didn't do very good. They didn't make the playoffs. One of the only years that Crosby didn't make the playoffs was that first year of the National Hockey League. There's some great players on those Penguins teams, and he came out of Rimouski and he won the World Junior title a couple of years there. That he had the opportunity to play for Team Canada. The 1 year was the 2004 team, I think it was, when they were in North Dakota, and he didn't get a great chance to play that much as a 17-year-old because the greats that they already had with Patrice Bergeron and Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry, and the list goes on and on because of the NHL strike that was that year of the lockout. I guess it was a lockout, not a strike. But it's remarkable to think that Crosby was on that team and only got 9 points in the 6 games on that juggernaut Canada team. It just rolled over everybody in North Dakota and didn't give anybody a chance to double Dion Phaneuf, and he was just running over Ovechkin and running over Yevgeny Malkin back then. It was crazy to think that Crosby would end up being the best one of the bunch. It was highly speculated that he was going to be that guy and get the opportunity to be the Cup champion, to have the things he was going. His first year in the league, you remember back, he had guys like Sergei Gonchar, John LeClaire, Mark Recchi played on that team, and Lemieux came back for a little bit and played 22 games or so that season. So Crosby still led the team in scoring that year with 102 points his rookie season, and things look to be going quite well for old Sid. And you compare it to when Bedard got out of playing junior hockey for the Regina Pats last year. He as well went first overall, as we've all heard ad nauseum for quite some time. He's the next coming of, they don't know who yet. You want to speculate if he's as good as Crosby, then great. But you look at the numbers that Bedard put up, the scoring that he did in his 2 years in Regina. It was 2 and a bit because of the COVID year and everything else. But Bedard put up ungodly numbers. You wonder what he would have been able to do if he didn't, go to the World Junior that year and miss time out. But you remember the World Junior last year in out on the East Coast in Halifax. He was a 22-point guy in the World Juniors and in 6 or 7 games, whatever he was, and it was the Connor Bedard show, night in, night out, and on it went. You just wonder how, like, you look at the team that the Chicago Blackhawks have put together for this year for Bedard, and it's going to be comparable to that team that Crosby played on all those years ago in 2005 or 2006, whatever year it was. It's remarkable to think that now the Chicago Blackhawks have moved on from Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. They're going to have not a very good hockey team this year. You have to bottom out to in the National Hockey League to get that first overall pick, and they did so, and they got the draft. But the Chicago Blackhawks have some aging vets, just like those Pittsburgh Penguins did. Like now they went on and got themselves a Corey Perry and a Taylor Hall and a Nick Foligno and the like. So they got a team there in Pittsburgh, or in Chicago, sorry, that is comparable to that Pittsburgh team so many years ago. They got some vets, they got some guys that'll help Bedard ease into the National Hockey League, see how things are going to go, and there's a good chance the Chicago Blackhawks are going to miss the playoffs the same way that the Pittsburgh Penguins missed the playoffs that very first year that Crosby was in the league. It sounds really familiar the way it's all turned out. You remember, the Pittsburgh Penguins won a Stanley Cup in 1991. They also won one in 92, and that was 14 years prior to Crosby showing up. But people have memories that are very long when it comes to the world of sports, and when you come in highly touted as Crosby did, that you start getting compared right off the bat to guys like Jaromir Jagr and Ron Francis, and of course Mario Lemieux and the like. So yes, those Stanley Cups were 14 years prior to the arrival of Sidney Crosby. But people, like I said, they see those banners up in the old Mellon Arena, whatever it was called back then, the Igloo. I don't know if it's Mellon Arena back then, but the Igloo in Pittsburgh, and then they move on to Mellon Arena or whatever it's called now, and they remember what goes on. So when Crosby came in with immense pressure on him, and like 14 years is a long time, but now that it's 29 years later, 30 years later since those Stanley Cup wins, it seems like it's kind of comparable to what's happening right now with Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks. When you think about it, it was only 13 years ago where see right there, the numbers are right there. So 13 years ago when the Chicago Blackhawks won their first of 3 Stanley Cups in that new era that they had going on in Chicago. So those numbers are lined right up there. It's quite remarkable when you think about it, because you think about the legends that were on those teams that won the Stanley Cups with Chicago, like a Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, who they just kind of parted ways with in the last year. And then you have Duncan Keith, who went 2 years ago. They're 2 years ago. There's 3 guys who are comparable to the Penguins legends, because those guys are going to the Hall of Fame as well. So it's really funny that the 13 and 14 year comparison is spread. Like, one seems like it's so long ago, but then Crosby's career has been so long. It's pretty much goes notch for notch with what Bedard is walking himself into by going into Chicago and looking to rebuild that franchise and get it back to a winning ways. I know it's not all on Bedard, but it's one of those things where you got to think that it's got to be in the thought process about the Bedard camp and the Chicago camp. Okay, what are we going to do and how can we market this? The new legend begins and everything else. It's probably quite comparable to what happened with Sidney Crosby back in the day, because it was quite funny that I thought about this all by myself. It's I don't consider myself that smart, and I didn't read this anywhere. This is actually a Brent 1420 original, so I was quite happy that I came up with this. And the biggest thing about a guy like Connor Bedard is there's going to be a lot of speculation whether he'll be able to meet the expectations that are put on him by the media, because the media is a lot different than it was 15 years ago when Sidney Crosby first got going. It's a lot bigger than it was 30 years ago, obviously, than it was when Crosby first started. But now with the expectations and the internet and the Google and the Twitter and the stuff and the things and the marketing campaigns and the money that's involved with everything, it's going to be interesting to see if a guy like Bedard with that boyish face, just like Crosby had 15 years ago, he still does, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, you just wonder if Bedard's gonna be able to handle the pressure. It's going to be remarkable to see how, because these guys are built differently. They take courses when they're young. They learn how to work with the media. They have coaches that work between their ears a little bit more, not not just on the ice. But Bedard seems like a man possessed. He has a similar frame to Crosby. Their lower torsos, their lower halves are very strong. They got those big legs and the big asses like the hockey players he used to have all the time. Back when I was growing up, I never had that. But you look at the stature of Bedard and the stature of Crosby; they're very comparable in that sense. If Bedard can have half the career that Sidney Crosby's had, I think he would be happy. I think the Chicago Blackhawks would be happy. You think of all the accolades and everything that Crosby's done with Art Ross trophies and MVPs and 3 Stanley Cups, and then you think about the Olympic gold medals and everything that Crosby's done throughout his career, and it's just remarkable that what he's done. And if you would have told him back when he was getting started back in 2005 or 2006, whatever his first year in the league was, that he would have probably said if you get a half of that, he'd be happy, or just a long career and score some points and maybe win 1 cup, he'd be happy. So you got to think that would be the mindset of a Connor Bedard, to have a situation this year when he's starting the NHL season tonight, and you wonder what's going through his mind and how he's going to get it done, and what would be a successful career or unsuccessful career. And you think if he had, like I said, if he had half the record or half the career that Crosby would, Chicago Blackhawks would be their fan base would be happy. 1 cup, they'd be happy. Exciting team, they'd be happy. It's not that many years ago they were competitive, and then it's just you get old quick. And winning's hard. Winning is hard, and we can't put this all on Connor Bedard's shoulders. There's no getting around that. But they're off to they have high hopes. It all begins tonight in Pittsburgh when the legend, soon to be Hockey Hall of Famer, goes up against the next one, right? So it's one of those things. Like, I know Lemieux was the next one and everything else, so the magnificent one, and then I can't remember. There's somebody this one, that one after the great one, which is with Wayne Gretzky, obviously. But it's going to be interesting to see how the NHL markets that game tonight. And if they read my article at 1420sportsbar.com, they would probably get a great insight on what was going on. So make sure you guys check that article out, because it's put a lot of work into that. Make sure you guys check out the website and put it on your favorites. We're doing a lot of different stuff there. The morning buzz and all kinds of different things are going to be a lot of fun for you guys to check out on a daily basis. If you can't listen to my voice or see my smiling face up on YouTube. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting in the NHL season how it's going on. I'm working on something right now with Connor McDavid, and it's a win or bust year for him and the Edmonton Oilers, because it's getting to that point of his career where, like, shit or get off the pot, right? One of those things. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But it's a great time of year to be a sports fan. I cannot believe the Dodgers are down 2-0 to the Arizona Diamondbacks. I knew Arizona was good. You have to be a good baseball team to be playing this time of year. But I thought the Dodgers were gonna do some damage this playoff and going to win one for Clayton Kershaw. And you just feel bad for the way Kershaw it turned out for him again on Saturday night. We were out and about, and we got into to catch the first inning of the baseball game, and they were already down 5-0, and that was it for that game. And then they lost again last night. And then can the Baltimore Orioles make a comeback in their series with the Minnesota or with the Texas Rangers? Sorry, it's interesting to see it all plays out. The Rangers can hit the ball, and if you walk 10 guys as the Orioles did the other day, you're never going to win a baseball game. That's just how it is. But a great time to be a sports fan. There's no getting around that. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, listen, and everything else. We're putting all kinds of content out on a daily basis for you guys to enjoy. Like I said, the website's up there, and lots of great articles that are coming up from. And we're looking for interns and all kinds of different things as well. But make sure you guys tune in and whenever you get a chance and listen to the podcast and talk to people about the show. Hockey season gets going tonight. Baseball playoffs continue to roll on. Football season. It's a great time of year once again, as always, to be a sports fan, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Good luck to Connor Bedard and the rest of Chicago Blackhawks on your NHL debut tonight, and hopefully you and Crosby read my article and have a comparison and to talk about it, because it makes a lot of sense how comparable these two careers, like how they got their start and how they're going to finish. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. But there it is. Here's a word from our friends at SeatGeek.
The foul baller. If there's a ball that's gone foul, he's gone to get it. Under his watchful gaze, all bevs, binoculars, and ballpark brats are safe. He's the only thing that stands between his section and certain destruction. That's why he only trusts SeatGeek with his tickets. The ticketing app trusted by fans. SeatGeek, so fans can fan.
Promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 at SeatGeek on your first purchase by using that old promo code 1420pod. And it helps support the 1420 Sports Bar podcast as you do it. Let's get to on this day's birthdays and get you guys out of here. On this day in 1994, the New York Giants retired jersey number 56 in honor of Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor. Taylor played his entire 13-year career with the Giants, winning 2 Super Bowls, 1986 Super Bowl 21 and 1990 in Super Bowl 25, and he won the NFL MVP award in 1986. Taylor was also the 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 1985. LT, as he was affectionately known, sacked Washington Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann that caused a compound fracture to Theismann's leg in one of the most gruesome moments in sports history. I still can't watch. I remember watching it as a young podcaster back then, and it still makes me sick. Sending Theismann into early retirement. Taylor's not been one to shy away from controversy throughout his life, but is still one of the best defensive players in NFL history. 1,089 tackles, 142 sacks, 54 forced fumbles, and 9 interceptions. He made the Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio in 1999. Lawrence Taylor's not been one to shy away from controversy and everything else, and it's too bad that stuff happens. We admitted to cocaine use early in his career and everything else, and there's just times, but you can't take away from what he did on the football field. So on this day in 1994, the Giants retired his number 56. And happy 54th birthday to Super Bowl champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer Brett Favre. Favre was born on this day in Gulfport, Mississippi, and was drafted in the second round, 33rd overall by the Atlanta Hawks in the 1991 NFL draft out of Southern Miss. Favre was traded to the Green Bay Packers after only 1 season with Atlanta, as the then head coach and Atlanta legend Jerry Glanville didn't approve or like the drafting of Favre. Favre played 16 years in Green Bay and won 3 consecutive MVP awards, winning Super Bowl 31. Favre started every game for the Packers from September 20th, 1992 to January 20th, 2008, 253 straight. Favre's career went a little bit sideways after initially retiring in 2008. He decided to play for the Jets in 2009 and then Minnesota in 09 and 10. The Hall of Fame in 2016 after 6,300 completions, 71,838 yards, 508 TDs, and 336 interceptions. He's in a bit of trouble right now recently, but whatever. Let's not talk bad about a guy in his birthday. But happy birthday to Brett Favre, the old gunslinger himself. He was fun to watch. There's no getting around that. It was always entertaining to watch Favre. Like I said, he's in a little bit of trouble right now with what's going on in his personal life and things and business dealings. And it's not a good look for taking money. I think it was the Boys and Girls Club or something. Like, I can't much remember. It doesn't much matter. We're not gonna besmirch a guy on his birthday. So, anyways, there's your show for this morning. 14:20 in the morning. We're here every day during the week. Also, we do make sure you go to 1420 Sports Bar, the 1420sportsbar.com, and check out all the stuff we got going on there. All our links and everything 1420 is on there, and as well go to bellyupsports.com. Great partners we have there, and of course SeatGeek. Smash that subscribe button when you get a chance later on today. Go to YouTube. Channel's growing and everything else. Things are going pretty good here at 1420 World Headquarters. You get a little bit crazy between the years at times, but you sometimes just got to take a step away and get your head cleared up. As a bunch of other podcast guys know that sometimes your own worst enemy is yourself. And sometimes you just got to take a little bit of walk and with anything in life, take a walk and just breathe the fresh air once in a while, because you can get a little bit, things get a little bit hairy. Anyways, on that note, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good day, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network.